Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. This is your weekly FullEnrich and Friends show today. I see already 6 people have joined. Welcome, everybody.
I think you mean 600, Fred. There's 600 people here.
I mean, 600. 600. Yeah. I mean, there's people waiting at the gate. We have a stadium full of people today.
Yeah.
The first 600. We only allow them in batches of 600 just for logistical purposes. Thank you, Mike, for the reminder. We leave people just a couple, minutes to join, and we go through a round of introductions. Then we have a packed agenda today, so we'll go through those 30 minutes together. I think we're gonna fly through them. We have a third host today that we'll introduce in a second. I want to make sure everybody hears her name. This is my kid knocking at the door. Again.
Cool.
I'll leave it out to the hands of Michael to take it away.
Yeah, awesome. We've got a great show in store today. We'll run through some current trends in B2B tech. We'll talk about FullEnrich, how we use FullEnrich, some things that we're really excited about. We have some visuals to share with you today about some of the stuff we do is kind of invisible, right? Things work through an API, and maybe at times it's hard to conceptualize that. So we have some things to show you about how we use our tools internally for our own growth purposes. And then most importantly, we have Holly Allen, who's joined us today. Holly comes here. She's our founding account executive for UK and I here at FullEnrich. Prior to FullEnrich, Holly worked at companies Deal, G2, Thrive. She's held roles ranging from a business development representative to head of sales development. She's also spent time as a sales coach with the Sales Impact Academy. Beyond that, and probably even more impressive, she's built a massive brand on LinkedIn. No one's really counting, but she does have over 52,000 followers on LinkedIn that she posts content regularly for. If you're not already following Holly on LinkedIn, please do so. She's got great content that she puts out there. And then just speaking as a teammate of hers here at FullEnrich, she's the real deal when it comes to discovering new opportunities, moving deals through the pipeline, and closing deals. So we're super happy to have Holly here with us today. So thank you for being here, Holly.
Thanks for having me on.
Cool. Where's everybody from? Can we get a little notice here in the chat of where people are tuning in from today? And then we've got a little trivia question, Jeopardy style. And the winner again of this trivia will get 500 credits. But tell us where you're tuning in from. I'm on the East Coast of the United States. Holly's over in Manchester, Northamptonshire. We got some UK in the house.
Oh, wow. Simon, I will not even try to pronounce the name of this town. It's not gonna be very flattering. Northamptonshire. Well, I know.
Northamptonshire.
I apologize. Oh, our friend from Dundee. My friend, you and I should talk about rugby. My heart broke on Sunday or Saturday. Yours was probably full of love.
Sheffield, home of the Arctic Monkeys, right? I think they're from Sheffield, Daniel.
I should definitely know this. Unsure.
Pretty sure those boys come from Sheffield. One of my favorite bands, actually, too. Indeed, says Daniel. Okay, cool. All right, well, great. I hope our American friends, I don't know if we have any NFL fans in here, but it's been an exciting week as free agency kicks off in the NFL. I know we got someone in Texas, big football state, big high school football state, which I was explaining the concept to our European friends in San Francisco last week at an offsite of like high school sports and how big they are in America and how unique that is to America versus other countries. So I'm a big Buffalo Bills fan, for probably of nobody's interest in here. But if you ever want to chat NFL, I'm here. Let's kick off to a trivia question. And if you're familiar with Jeopardy, it will be in the style of Jeopardy. The winner, the first one to put the answer into the chat. Obviously, people can cheat. We can't stop it. So try to be honest here. All right, here we go. Built as the entrance arc for the 1889 World's Fair, this structure was originally scheduled to be torn down after just 20 years. Built as the entrance arc for the 1889 World's Fair, this iconic structure was originally scheduled to be torn down after just 20 years. I'll give some more clues. This structure is in Europe. It is not the Arc de Triomphe. It is in Europe. It is in France. This iconic structure was originally built as the entrance arc for the 1889 World's Fair, which was held in Paris. The Eiffel Tower, Liam.
There you go. Liam, I am writing down the first 500 credits go to Liam.
Liam. It's Liam, but yeah.
Liam, would you, I apologize, Liam, would you still take the 500 credits? You probably deserve more after me butchering it.
It is crazy to think that that structure was just meant to be there for 20 years as just an entrance to a fair. So anyways, now you know, whenever you see the Eiffel Tower or you're in Paris, a little bit of history behind it. Again, it was built in 1889 as the entrance to the World's Fair. Kind of cool. So what we like to do is kind of go through some B2B tech news, any kind of relevant updates for everybody. And I think we all see the headlines of, you know, layoffs that are taking place. And I don't want to make this like a funeral setting here in the webinar. And I think there's there's a certain angle to look at these layoffs from. Atlassian just made an announcement today of, Fred, did you see the specifics on that one?
I just saw that they laid off 1,200 people and they're blaming AI for it, which seems to be the easy culprit for all those layoffs these days. Yeah.
And, I feel like it's almost a perfect storm, like a convergence of, back in, 2020, 2021, money was free for companies to raise money. So massive rounds were raised. Teams grew very big, right? Your operational costs got very heavy kind of at the worst time, because then as the economy slowed and AI became a lot easier to use and incorporate into your company, suddenly became rather obvious to those companies that, some of the problems they had, I think they'd have even independent of AI, because teams probably just grew too big. But it also just, isn't just, so it's not just AI, right? I think there was a little bit happening in the years just leading up to our ability to really harness AI and use it that have kind of led to these massive cuts. Obviously, when the CEOs make the announcements, they're not going to be like, oh, by the way, we probably shouldn't have hired like 200 people in our product marketing team. On that note, okay, so as we see all these layoffs that are taking place within organizations, there is one specific role in RevTech that is really hot. And I know we've probably all seen, Clay and others have kind of coined the phrase of GTM Engineer, right? And there is a very technical role that is connected to the revenue systems. So I just have a little visual here, and Fred, I'm going to try to share this. I don't know where our faces are going to all end up here. Can we move our images off? Okay, cool.
Does it work like this?
Hopefully everyone can see this okay. And again, I know we've all heard the role. I just want to add a little bit of color to exactly what the role is, some numbers around it, and then just maybe like, not a word of advice, but if you're in sales, maybe a word of advice. So there's been 205% increase year over year in job postings for roles like this. The role is able to book 5 times more demos than a traditional BDR. 90 plus days is the average time these roles go unfilled, meaning companies are kind of struggling to find people with the exact technical skills and business acumen that they're looking for. They pay well, right? So what do they exactly do? They automate outbound, they do lead qualification, they set sales triggers, Slack integrations. They automate tons of processes that make the sales process and revenue generation as efficient as possible. I think it's a really fun role to be in. And I think if you're in a sales role today, it is the time to start to really dive into Claude. It's the time to really understand how Claude works, a lot of other tools that we have listed here. We can share this document. It's easy information to find online. I know I'm not probably blowing anyone's mind with this, but it is maybe just like a kind of a word to everyone here. And this is a word to myself. And, Holly and I have been talking about that this week. It's super important for us to become as technical as we can. Sales teams are likely not going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And these roles are going to become a very core piece to every company's go-to-market. So don't waste any time if you're not already diving into Claude and how it works and how it can be applied within your organization. Feel free to check out this link. And Fred, can you pop the link into the chat here? There's a really great course that you can take through Anthropic. We just put it in here. Feel free to hop in and take a look at this this course here. Highly recommend. Okay. I think it's time for all of us to get as technical as we can, even just account executives. So,
and for everybody to know, this is not sponsored by Anthropic. It's just genuine recommendation from Mike and here.
Yeah. Cool. I have just a couple things to share with you about like how we use FullEnrich at FullEnrich. So this is within our Slack instance. You see here, this is the name of the channel, Tool Enrich FullEnrich. What we're doing with Zapier here within FullEnrich is within this channel, all you need to do is put a LinkedIn URL. That's all you do. You send a LinkedIn URL. You're not leaving Slack. You send the LinkedIn URL in. The output is all the information around that person. Okay, super convenient. Again, not leaving Slack. Works really quickly and easily. If you have any interest in setting something like this up within your organization, let us know. We have some kind of technical documentation that we can share with you that shows how to exactly go about the steps of doing this. And there's one other visual I just want to share here. We've talked about on this series reverse enrichment. It's a little bit invisible. We only do it through API. I just want to share everybody exactly what we mean by this. So this is for companies who have, hey, all I have is an email address. Maybe I'm a PLG company. Maybe I get lots of signups for demos, other kind of marketing efforts that are leading people to just provide us their email address. This is what it looks like. When you send the email address into the FullEnrich API, we run through our waterfall, and then we reverse enrich it, and then we're able to provide you with kind of a contact card of that individual, providing more color and context as to exactly who they are. This is super important for teams who just have email addresses, because what do you do with an email address if you don't know who they are? Does your sales team action that? Does your marketing team action that? Should that person be called today because they're so well in your ICP? So a reverse email lookup can be an incredibly valuable piece of your go-to-market. So I just wanted to share that with you. These are two things that we love using here at FullEnrich. Obviously, being a PLG company who gets, I don't know how many thousands of signups every single month, it's imperative for us to use a tool like this. So time for me to shut up and introduce into the conversation a little bit more formally now, Holly, who we introduced at the top. But cool. Thanks, Stephen. Oh, nice.
Oh, great, Stephen.
Oh, awesome. Cool. And one last piece too, before we pass over to Holly. We are going into testing with our MCP server right now. If anybody's interested in, and yeah, Liam, we've got, and Holly, I'm sure we'll be talking about the mobile numbers, Liam. So we pride ourselves on mobiles, and I from what I see and what I understand about the market, I think we have the best mobiles you can find anywhere, not just in any specific region, but literally globally. But anyone who's interested, just to kind of go back to the MCP server, we're launching ours right now. We're looking for people who are interested in testing our MCP. If you're interested in getting early access and willing to deal with this not being maybe perfectly set up yet, let us know. Either pop into the chat here, or you can just shoot us an email and let us know offline. But we're looking for people who want to test our MCP server in Claude. So we're happy to see anyone who might want to do that. Model Context Protocol, I think is what MCP stands for, but cool. Holly.
Hello.
We'll kick over to you. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks. No, I want to join more of these because I feel like I've learned so much in the last 15 minutes. But I think just on the point of Claude, and also I think, Liam, this leads nicely on from your comment. I've been living in Claude this week, and like Mike will tell you, before this week, I was a little bit terrified of using it. I'm definitely not an AI expert. I don't think I ever will be. However, I think if you pair something like Claude with FullEnrich, it is like Outbound magic so far as to what I've seen, because I think now in 2026, like there is no reason to not know who to target, companies, personas, because tools like Claude can literally tell you, okay, based on your close won opportunities, based on who you have success with, like these are the companies that you should be targeting. But I think the challenge is that so many teams now are just relying on automation tools and AI to send out, mass campaigns, emails that just sit in an inbox. And people now know, right, that that's automated and they're not going to read it. I think using a tool like FullEnrich so that you can get direct phone numbers, for example, so you can pick up the phone and then use the research that you've done really easily on a tool like Claude to actually have a real conversation with someone. Like that's the stuff that really, really stands out. I actually connected with someone that I've been really excited to speak to on LinkedIn yesterday, and they connected, and I was just about to send a message to them, and I just enriched them. I was going to pick up the phone and call them today, and they beat me to it. And the guy, he's like the VP of RevOps at this company that's like our perfect ICP. He messaged me back and he was like, great to connect. Like, I'm now expecting a well-researched cold call from you. He was like, I think anyone that still picks up the phone in this day and age is a hero, because like no one else is doing it. Everyone else is hiding behind automation. So I think if you can use the two things together, that is like an outbound superpower.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things that like we do here at FullEnrich to make sure that you have like accurate phones in front of you, I want to do one more graphic with you.
And I think that's the other thing, right? It's like at previous companies that I've been at, I've used all the tools under the sun, like Cognism, Lusher, Apollo. And it's like you've done all this research, whether it's taken you 2 minutes to do it in Claude or, whether you've done it a bit more manually back in the day. You want to make sure then when you are picking up the phone and you're so excited to like speak to that prospect and you know what you're going to say and you're well prepared, you want to make sure that you're actually reaching the right person, not getting an office line that connects you to a gatekeeper. And then it's like, that's wasted time and you feel deflated. So another reason why I love our tool.
And just to kind of go back into like what really separates FullEnrich from legacy data vendors? Why are our mobile phone numbers or our phone numbers in general just so much better to use in this instance? Okay, legacy data vendors, like some of the ones that Holly mentioned, single source, right? When you ask them for data, they're reaching in to a database. It's that database is degrading. It's getting stale over time. You're on a seat-based model often with them too. So you're asking them for data, they're reaching into a database. If they don't have the data, you're still paying $2,000 per seat per year per rep, right? There isn't a really direct tie between the money you spend with them and the data that you get back, right? With FullEnrich, there's so much more of a direct tie. And as you make the request to us, we're not just reaching into one single database, right? We're querying 15 plus providers in our waterfall. And a really key piece here that makes the dialing so effective for somebody like Holly and so many of our users is once we get the data back from our waterfall, we don't just send it back to you and say, here it is, give us the credit now, and then have a day. We get the data back from our waterfall, we then verify the data. We're not exhausting anyone's credits until we verify the data. On the email side, we run a triple verification. Is it valid? Is it probably valid? Is it catch-all? Is it invalid? If it's an invalid email, there's no credits consumed. On the phone side, we can determine, is this phone a mobile phone or is it a landline? Very clear what revenue organizations want. By and large, people want mobile phones. When we go through our waterfall, if we get a phone back and we see that it's a landline phone in that verification, back to the waterfall until we find the mobile phone. We don't charge any credits if it's a landline. And again, if we don't find the mobile, which is rare, there's no credits consumed. But we have a maniacal focus on finding you mobile phones. And in North America, we're able to take it a couple steps further through partnerships with the likes of Twilio, where we're able to go, yeah, not only is this a mobile phone that's on and active, we can verify that it does in fact belong to the person we're saying it belongs to, which is a dramatic increase in how you can maybe speak to how important the dial to connect rate is. So many people, due to this seat-based model, really know how to buy access to a database. It's pretty easy math. I'm going to do, $2,000 per rep per year, but how much are you really paying for the data? Really, the equation is like, how much does it cost to book a meeting? What is your dial to connect rate? That's one of the most important metrics for a sales organization. How many dials does it take for me to book a meeting? Not how much does a phone cost. So with us, again, the credits that you're investing in with FullEnrich, they're only going to be exhausted when you're getting data back that is actionable, data that is going to help you build pipeline, which I think is so core to this whole equation and part of what Holly's referring to here.
And Holly, there's a question from Liam. Everybody, it's how you say it correctly. Why are other data providers in your waterfall happy to integrate with you? Are they not losing their own revenues?
It's a good question, and it comes up a lot. Wait, Mike, feel like you were going to jump in there. Take it away.
Yeah, we make a lot of calls to the waterfall. So we make, 5 to 7 million calls to our waterfall every week, which means we're paying our vendors quite a bit of money. They're happy with that, for one, and they're also, we're growing at a rapid pace. We're getting into regions and segments. We're kind of we become an extension of their go-to-market. So these are, quite strategic relationships for them, and I think, we stand in really good favor with our sub-processors because of that. It's a great distribution channel for them. So hope that answers your question, Liam.
And usually, if I can build on it, is if you look at the various providers that make up a waterfall, they typically have a focus. It could be a regional focus, it could be an industry focus, it could be a function focus, you name it. And they're pretty good at it. And their focus is, we want to be the best provider in Germany or in the US or for the finance industry. And their job is to make sure that they are consistently. And they're pretty good at that. Our promise is you can find the numbers and the emails for anybody across regions and industry. And so in that sense, we're very complementary to one another. They're bringing the resources, the contact info for that area that they focus on. And we line up around and next to them other providers that focus on other areas. And we're able to arrange that set of providers together to provide our end users with the best data that they want. And so it's almost like a value chain, if you will, where you have people, extracting the raw material, and then other people like us aggregating those into a more final product that is then consumed.
I think just like one last piece to add here in this same vein is that 32% of the data that comes back from our vendors doesn't even make its way to our users, and no credits are consumed by our users. So we're still paying our sub-processors for that 32% of data that comes back. We're filtering it though, and we're making sure that what ends up in your CRM and in your engagement tools and the numbers and emails that you're actioning are numbers that are going to actually help you connect. So there's that verification layer that we add on top of the actual waterfall, that's not built into how our sub-processors work. So again, that impact alone really helps channel their data to the teams that really want access to it in a way that, again, we facilitate really well here at FullEnrich.
I think, Michael, your initial question to Holly was really interesting. I love to hear her perspective. And the question was really about the importance of connect rate as a salesperson, either like an SDR or more senior AE. Like, what was your experience in that, Holly?
Yeah, for sure. And I think from a sales leader perspective, you care about ROI of these tools, right? And what you're super focused on, to Mike's point, is, okay, how many calls are my reps making? How many pieces of data are they extracting, and like, what is this costing me, i.e. what is the wasted spend on these numbers that don't work? But from a rep perspective, like if we actually zoom out and think about how the rep feels when maybe they're being given a target of making 100 to 150 dials a day, and perhaps their sales leader is putting that target up because connect rates are low, so they need to make more calls, to the sales leader. That's the obvious solution. That's super demoralizing as a rep. Like if you're making 150 calls a day and you're only having, I don't know, 10, 15 conversations of that. And, some of those conversations are actually people picking up the phone and saying, oh yeah, my name is Michael Petery, but I've actually never worked a day in SaaS in my life because the data is inaccurate. Like that is soul destroying. I have been there as a rep that has had those targets pushed up, and you're like, I'm putting in the work, like I'm doing the dials, but I'm just not getting the results. But this isn't a talent problem. I'm an okay cold caller. When I do get the right person on the phone, I can book a meeting, but it's really demoralizing. And, the more that something doesn't work, the more that you're not going to want to do it. And I hear this every day, right, from sales leaders that I speak to on demos. They're like, we need our reps calling more. Like we know that it can work, but they just don't want to. And they think it's like an attitude problem. And, maybe it is an attitude problem, but that's probably stemmed from the fact that they don't have good data, and that's what's caused that. If they were picking up the phone and constantly getting through to the right person, being able to book meetings, they're probably going to be far more willing to actually cold call and get the results that you as a sales leader actually need.
Thank you. Michael, there's a question that I really need you to answer, because it comes back on a regular basis. So VSAC is asking, is there really a difference in your enrichment process while you're using via Clay waterfall and while using it directly on FullEnrich dashboard?
The data is going to be the same. The same, right? So if assuming you're using FullEnrich as the vendor in Clay, right? The number one thing that we see from people who use FullEnrich within Clay is they love the predictability and how long their Clay credits are going to last. If you're using FullEnrich and other vendors in a waterfall, that's where it gets a little bit precarious and difficult to predict. People who come buy the credits directly from FullEnrich and then go to use them in Clay, that's what they really love. They don't exhaust Clay credits now on the contact data. They've already bought it from FullEnrich. They leverage our integration with Clay. And now that bit's done, because that does become, again, tough to predict. When you're running campaigns, at the start of the campaign, you think you're going to end up with X amount of Clay credits left. And, depending on where in the waterfall you're pulling data from, it can impact that. But
do you mind telling us, is your question about using the FullEnrich waterfall directly through our app or API or via Clay, or is it a question about comparing whatever other waterfall mechanism there is in Clay and comparing it to FullEnrich? Which one of the two are you referring to here?
I'm happy to spend some time with you too. We can chat through this in a call if you want, because it's a good question. If you do want to, you've tried both. Okay, cool. We're almost at time here. I'm happy to hop on a call for a few minutes with you and talk through. But yeah, look, thanks everybody for being here with us today. We're really happy that Holly was able to join us, and you just made a great impact here with us today, Holly. And we've got 1,400 people in this webinar right now. I'm just kidding, but thanks for being here. Thanks for so many of you hung with us for the entire time here. So we really do appreciate that. If there's things that and I don't know, maybe there's other feedback loops we want to set up for this, but if there's things that you want us to be talking about here and focusing on, we love the feedback. We're happy to create content that's built around your needs and kind of what you're looking for. Tell your friends about the FullEnrich and Friends. Tell people on LinkedIn and elsewhere. We'd love to have more people come and join, FullEnrich users, non-FullEnrich users, haters, lovers. Bring them in. We'll talk to everybody. So yeah, share the good word about FullEnrich and Friends and FullEnrich in general. And yeah, thank you again, everyone, so much for being here with us today.
Yeah, thank you. I send everybody a thank you email with the various resources that we shared today so that you can access them. Feel free to reply to that email with all the things that Michael said, whether it is a suggestion or a desire to be the next Holly on this call, sharing your story, or sending the email over to your friends. We're here every Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. East Coast, and might be 8-hour different or 9-hour difference with the Central Europe, depending on who's changing time these days.
Adrian, no Chrome extension on LinkedIn comment if that's what you're referring to. If you haven't used our search tool yet, that can kind of take the place of Sales Navigator. Good question. I think weekly we do get that question. Yeah, no Chrome extension coming.
All right, everybody.
Simon, yeah, thank you so much for that, Simon. Cool. All right.
That's all for today.
Thanks
Thank you, and hopefully see you next week, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.